We do this too, we're bringing that fire. Talking real talk, Kentucky's on fire. From bourbon to ball games, we got that flow. On the We Do This Too podcast, yeah, you know. From country roads to the city lights, they bring the heat, man, every night. We do this too, let's make it clear. If you ain't listening, you ain't here.
Welcome back, y'all. It's another edition of the We Do This Too Outdoors podcast. And as always, we are presented to you in partnership with brands that we feel represent the very best of the outdoor industry. So before we get started, we'd like to give a special shout out to Moultrie Products, Ullers Archery, Threads Custom Bowstrings, G5 Outdoors, Blackburn Apparel Company, Deer Pip Scents and Lures, Vision Clothing, Bluebird Waterfowl Company, Angry Chicken Outdoors, Alps Outdoors, and last but certainly not least, a special shout out to the good folks over at Briley's for leaving a legacy of shooting innovation. Whether you need new cameras to elevate the scouting experience, new arrows, or anything for your archery setups, clothing, scent, or whatever it may be, as a supporter of the podcast, you can use promo code WDTT promo. That's WDTT promo for 15% off anything on the website at ullersarchery.com. Some exclusions may apply. With that being said, let's dive into another episode of the We Do This Too Outdoors podcast with your host, Mr. Courtney Williams. What's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of the We Do This Too Outdoors podcast. I'm your host, Courtney Williamson. I got my homeboy back in the building, Mr. Antonio Brown, Mr. AKA Chocolate Cowboy, aka Tone Brown, aka Authentic Savage, aka Mr. Steal Your Bow.
You dig? What's going on, guys? Brother, thank you for having me again. Such a pleasure and honor to be with you again to chop it up, on this here podcast, man. I love what you do.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, I've been big fan of yours, man. I love everything that you're doing in Florida, man. I know I picked your brain about some stuff. We're about to get into it here on the podcast, man. But from brother to brother, man, I'm super proud of everything that you're doing. And I can't wait to see, how God blesses you on in the future, man.
Brother, I greatly appreciate that, and the same, it's mutual. Likewise, New Jack Archers, everything you're doing is awesome. Anything that promotes the outdoors in a positive way and it shows others, hey, that you can do this too. The outdoors is for everyone. I'm behind it 1000%. Hook, line, and sinker, as they say.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, we had to take a little break from New Jack, man, for a little bit because Trey just moved back to Texas.
Yeah.
Jay's got some stuff going on. I got some stuff going on with family. I just had a death in family and everything like that. So we had to take a break for a minute, but we will be back. Possibly
sure.
Not this Monday, but maybe the next Monday after that. But we're still rocking. We're still cool. Everybody's like, man, what happened to y'all? Y'all beefing? I'm like, no, we just got some, stuff came up, and
listen, when you cook a fine steak, you got to let that steak sit for a little bit before you eat it. So right now, y'all just sitting for a little bit.
Right, man. Yeah,
for a little bit. Then it's right back to action.
Yeah, we just let it marinate right now for a little bit.
Exactly, man. Well, I'm glad to hear. I look forward to tuning in for that. Love watching it.
Yeah, guys, for everybody that doesn't know, Mr. Antonio Brown here, Tone Brown, Authentic Savage, whatever you want to call him. If you haven't seen his YouTube channels, his Instagram, like, you really need to check him out. And I got him back on the channel because I simply wanted to pick his brain about some stuff. I've been getting a whole lot of questions about, traveling, getting out of the country, hunting there. Everybody hunts usually in state. If they're from the United States, they might go to Georgia to hunt, hogs or something. They might go to Florida to hunt hogs. They might go out west to hunt elk or muleys or whatever, but nobody really talks about getting on that plane and going to another continent. And you've done it.
Yeah, buddy, you just landing and get on that boat real quick. But yes, brother, it was a vision, a dream. I tell you, that movie, A Ghost. I think we touched on it last time. That movie, A Ghost
Ghost
in
in
the
the
Dark.
dark, homie. Yes, sir.
You already know with Val Kilmer, that got me. My grandpa sat me down to watch that, and that movie got me. And I said from that moment, uh, I'm going to Africa. And then one of my favorite people in the world outside of my grandpa and God is Theodore Roosevelt. So he has done his fair share in Africa as well. So I said, if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. You
Got
know,
you. Yeah.
I had to make it happen. But it is something that I advise anyone who has the opportunity to experience it. And the beautiful part about it is contingent upon where you're going. I went to Africa for all those who don't know, and specifically South Africa. You can do it yourself, or if you can bring your wife, and it's a lovely trip if she'll take part of it with you. It's an awesome experience that I advise everyone to. Turkey's cool, this place is cool, that, but when you hit the dark continent, bro, that,
Yeah.
that plane touches down and you breathe that air, and you know that there are cobras just chilling, there are puff adders just vibing. Oh, bro, it's different. It hits different. It hits
Yeah.
different.
It's the motherland, man.
Brother, I tell you what, awesome, awesome, man. So you fire them off. Anything you want to know, I got you.
Okay, we're gonna go from like I know nothing about getting on a plane. I've never been on a plane before. I have, but we're
Mhm.
like I've never done this. I want to go to Africa. Say I want to hunt um an impala.
Okay.
Um, where do I need to start to look? What gear do I need? Vaccinations.
Mhm.
Way do I need to bring my own water? Break it down for me.
Listen, we're gonna start at the beginning, okay? So first things first is I want everyone, because you can't get in trouble. Home life has to be squared away. So first things first is look at your hunting budget for the next year. Because it's something that it's hard to pull off same year if you're not balling out of control. So look at the next year or the following year, and what you put towards hunting, or what you actually save, not just put towards a hunt here and there, but what you save, and see what you can spare without it impacting the household. So set your budget. That's first things first, because a lot of things will be contingent upon your budget, the animals that you pick. So you want to harvest an impala. So first things budget. Second thing is understanding what it is you're quarrying, what you would like to go after, because not all animals roam the same region. Africa is a large expanse of land with various ecosystems. You have the Congo, and that is heavy foliage and greenery, as opposed to like border Botswana or Vryburg, where it's a little more opened up. It's not like a pine forest, but it's more wooded and brushy. So there are desert regions, or regions that mimic a arid like ecosystem, with less greenery and trees. So understanding what your core is. So number one, budget. Number two, what's your core? You want to shoot an impala? That's considered plains game. Okay, so impala frequent various areas, but then you say, okay, I want to shoot an impala. I want to shoot a warthog. I want to shoot a blessed buck. I want to shoot a heart beast, and I want to shoot a zebra. So that's 5 plains game animals, and those are common animals right there. Now, those animals may not be available in certain areas, in certain hunting concessions. So that's why I say figure out what your core is. Now you can
Right.
mix it up, and you could say that, okay, I want to hunt plains game and I want a crocodile as well. Well, that may change things. Like myself, I wanted uh, a blue wildebeest, a baboon, a warthog, an impala, a blessed buck, and a zebra. I don't know if I mentioned the zebra already,
Zebra. Yeah. Okay.
but the crocodile was that was a red herring. That threw everything off with those that set of animal. And on
Mhm.
top of that, the plains game, they were all in one area where I could get hit all of them, excluding the baboon and the warthog. Pardon me, excluding the baboon and the warthog. I switched those out. Shot a Gems buck and a white blessed buck instead. So yeah, first things first, budget. Next, understanding your quarry. After you do that, that's when I would say go online and begin to look at outfitters. Read the reviews on various outfitters. Uh, Go on forums. If you're not a member of SCI, Safari Club International, I would highly suggest joining your chapter and chapters around your chapter as well, because that's a wealth of knowledge. A lot of individuals within SCI are frequent flyers when it comes to tapping into the wild game in Africa. And what's beautiful about that is that's what we call actionable intelligence, meaning you can take that came from someone's firsthand account that you're speaking to, and you that holds some equity, some validity.
Right.
So look into your local chapters of SCI, and within SCI, they have their own resources for hunters that are looking to hunt abroad, and different people who are fielded already and that they're familiar with, as well as you can do the brick and mortar going online. There are various sites that, based off of your query, it's a repository of all of the different outfitters that have those animals and where they are on the continent. So start at the beginning: budget, quarry, then researching the outfitters. And how it works is when you have an outfitter, that's your service. Within the outfitter is a professional hunter who is paired with that individual, that being you. So for my hunt, my outfitter was Avula Safaris. Phenomenal outfitter. I actually linked up with them through first-hand account at the South Florida Outdoor Expo, which is our largest outdoor expo. I'll be shooting in the tournament again this year, May 2nd through 5th. Guys, come check me out. You could grab your Make Bow Hunting Great Again hats there as well. But over there, they do a phenomenal job of bringing out outfitters from all over the world, not just the US, but all over the world. And I was able to make the acquaintance of an awesome lady named Nancy who represents Avula Safaris. And I tell you what, they had everything and more that I was looking for.
That's awesome.
So that's how I found my outfitter. But even without that, I had always, you know, took a look at outfitters via the internet, to see what I could find, even from before I joined Safari Club International. So it's very easy to do the research online and gather what you need to. And it's okay to pick, choose, and refuse. So you have camps. Once you understand what you're looking for in an outfitter, then you can look at your amenities. And that's why I say it's very important to do your budget first, so you know how much you're going to spend. For your plains game, some outfitters offer package deals. I almost said combo, like we had Popeyes. They don't
Yeah.
offer combo. They offer package deal. Some outfitters offer package deal. What does that mean? It could be 3 animals, and those 3 may be the ones that you want, and another animal that's non-hooven or whatever, or 5 plains game animals, and that package is $6,000. But if you would shoot the animals a la carte, it may cost you 3,000 more than that, contingent upon what animals that you wanted to shoot. So make sure that budget is done first, because once again, you can see how much you have to stretch, meaning you can add animals because you're well within your budget, because you found a package that includes your animals, or you can whip that money like pasta, make that money stretch, and throw another animal on top of there and say, honey, I got you on a couple massages when I get back from Africa. I got you on a couple dinners. We'll do the movies, whatever you need. I take the kids to Disneyland. I'll run them there on my back or whatever. I got you. But that's why it's important to start with that budget. Now let's go to amenities. When looking at your outfitter, it's important you look at their amenities, because some will have camps, which is essentially like a spike camp out in nature. you know?
Right.
And that's what, if you watch any of the old school safari videos, that's what they're in with the white tents.
Yeah.
They have the boma, the fire, all of those different things, with the grill out. That's more so the camp. And then you have like a lodge style. And I know everybody here is familiar with a lodge, large structures, buildings that you're familiar with. Same thing we would
Right.
find here in the US if you went out to Colorado for an elk, or New Mexico, go shoot a muley somewhere. You'll find a nice lodge like that. We stayed in a lodge. I had my lady with me, so I'm like, okay, gotta make sure
Yeah.
everything is super squared away, of course. And she was nice enough to let me do that during our honeymoon, because we spent a month in Africa.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, dude. So look at the lodge, their amenities. Then once you go through all of that, start asking them questions about your pH. And once again, that's the individual that you'll be paired with, your professional hunter, because their knowledge is responsible for the quality of animal that you harvest. I can't tell you how important it is for you to, inquire about their professional hunters. And if they have their own that are only for that outfit, or if they farm around and they grab whoever is the best at this or that, or who's in that area at this time. Because professional hunters, some will stay with a specific outfitter and others will just travel around the continent. And so I had a killer professional hunter. His name is Bobby. That was, I tell you what, Bobby's about like 5'5", but dude is a
Sure.
killer. Dude is a killer. He stopped a Cape Buffalo at 8 yards the week before last. It charged him, and when he let off that shot, it had covered the 50 and was at 8 yards when it dropped in front of him and his client.
Oh my
Dude is a
God.
killer. So those are all the things that you want to take into account when you're speaking to your outfitter about who their professional hunters are. Are they proven? Have they harvested in this area before, in this hunting concession? Are there good quality animals here? Okay, do they know how to track? And some of them come with their own trackers. So I met some professional hunters that had their own trackers that travel with them from outfitter to outfitter all over Africa. So those are like that's your foundation of questions there. Your budget, the animals that you would like to harvest. Okay, then the outfitter. After that, the professional hunter, excuse me, lodging,
Lodging.
then your professional hunter. And from there, it's just little stuff, little things that you can pick about. But you really have to get down to the meat and potatoes of, what is it going to cost you to do this? Because if your hunt costs this much, and you have, say your hunt, I'm just throwing out numbers here. So say your hunt's going to cost you $10,000 flat. That's just your hunt and the amenities surrounding that. That is not, once you harvest and you want to get those animals taxidermy, which is a
Right.
part that most people forget about. And
Right.
and it's costly, especially for that. All my animals are, as a matter of fact, I just got told that they'll be done come May and on their way to
Oh,
the US. So I'm stoked. But you have to remember and consider that, as well as your airfare. So if you have a hunt that's going to cost you $10,000 and your budget's $10,000, that's not going to work, because you still have to cover your airfare to and from, as well as your taxidermy, whether you do it over in Africa or you do it stateside.
right.
So, you know, I keep saying it. I keep saying it. That budget is real. I want everybody to have a phenomenal hunt, and for it to not be shaped and groomed by a lack of budgeting. I want y'all to get after it out there and truly enjoy yourself. And if you see a kudu walk out on you, I mean, it should be a kudu down. You feel me?
Right.
And money should not be the determining factor from that. So that's why I say, make sure you set aside, you go and you look at what your financials are, get that budget right, and then run down that list from there. Run down that list from there. So let's go to airfare now. So There are various ways to get to Africa. And what do I mean by that? You can do a 15-hour flight. Oh, excuse me. That's from Florida. You can do a direct, let me say, a direct flight, contingent upon where you're at geographically, or you can break it up. I don't like planes. I love to travel, but I don't like planes.
I hate planes.
Brother, there's too many people on them. I can't be armed. I have to I got to put these mitts on them if anything happens. And I got to fly the plane home myself. But we broke up our travel to Africa. So that's an option if you don't want to take that one long flight. You can break up that flight into a flight to Europe and then from Europe hop off to Africa. And contingent upon where you are in Africa, because it's such a large, expansive land, your flight from Europe to Africa may not be that long. We flew all the way to South Africa. So our flight was still a 9-hour flight, although we broke it up into two flights, a 10-hour, then a 9-hour. We flew from South Florida all the way to Paris, which overrated, overrated, overrated. And then from Paris, yeah, dude, from Paris, I'm like, oh shoot, that's the Eiffel Tower. 2 minutes later, I'm like, okay, cool, moving on.
Right.
And then we dipped out and flew into South Africa. On the way back, we had flown because we stayed there for our honeymoon. We were in a different part of Africa. Now we're in Cape Town. Excuse me. I think it's Franschhoek, like wine country. We flew from there to Amsterdam, and then from there to Boston, and Boston to South Florida. So you can make your journey to fit your needs. But once again, budget. And this is why I said make sure this is something that's being planned for the next year or the following year. So you have adequate enough time to book your flights accordingly without the prices being drastically increased because you're trying to go on this hunt in a couple months or, in a half a year. You're gonna really pay for it. And you want to ride comfortably on that. You want to ride comfortably on those flights, especially guys like us that aren't fans of being in the tin cans in the sky, you know. So
Right.
yeah, those are just a couple pointers. Now we're gonna move on to taxidermy, which is what people don't think of till they harvest their animal. But you're already
Right.
too late at that point because key here is having a broker, a broker for importing your animals. I had a broker for mine. She's phenomenal. So what does that do for me? She provided me with all the necessary paperwork ahead of time. So once the animals are harvested, everything can go directly to because I chose an splitting image, which is a African taxidermy company. They do phenomenal work, guys. So if anyone listening is on the market for a taxidermy company out in Africa, I would recommend Splitting Image. They do some killer work, and y'all will be able to see mine once I get them. Long story short, she forwarded all the paperwork on my behalf. That's one less thing that I can mess up, which when you're dealing with these types of documents, you don't want to mess them up because that can turn something that has a turnaround of weeks into a turnaround of months. And then, long and behold, right now we're going through a shift with tariffs and different things that may impact this. So, thankfully, I did everything ahead of time. So you never know what may happen in the meantime between your hunt and when the world is still moving and shaking. So I
Right.
would highly recommend a broker. And that goes back to the same thing, the budget. All of these little things factor into the budget. So if you know you have $15,000 for this hunt, it's not only just for harvesting the animal. That goes towards the airfare once again. That goes towards your taxidermist. That goes towards a broker if you choose to have a broker, which I highly recommend. It saves you time. It saves you headache because the goal is to enjoy your hunt. It's not to have to deal with all this frivolous paperwork where if you sign something incorrectly, it's a wrap. Now that's another 3 weeks, this, that, and the other. So I believe her company is Rosella Worldwide. Her name is Rosella Serencini out of Central Florida. Uh, phenomenal woman. She guided me through everything in which I need to do, paperwork wise, and she submitted that to the appropriate parties. and she's in constant contact with the taxidermist to ensure that everything on their end was submitted on time, and that being the permits for the various species of animal that I harvest and that anyone would harvest. So you don't have to touch any of that. Now, once it goes to the taxidermist and it's there, he communicates to you, they communicate to you if it's a African-based taxidermist about your ETAs. But before you even get there, you want to identify what taxidermists are in the area. An easy way to do that is you can speak with your outfitter regarding that, or you can tap in with SCI and your individuals in your branch, because there's somebody that's there who has had animals taxidermied in Africa. And I can guarantee that from any chapter of SCI all over the US, you will have somebody in your chapter who has had an African safari and therefore taxidermied animals. So check with them on their experience, the quality of their animals, and most importantly, what the cost was associated with that. Now, I actually found that it was cheaper to have them done over there. And from what I understood, the quality was even better. So that was a win. That
Right.
was a win right there, dude. I was able to save money, and not only save money, end up with a better quality. And to speak to the quality of this company, when I was at the Outdoor Expo um, last year, which was right after we came back from Africa, the Outdoor Expo was like a week later or 2 weeks later. There was a gentleman there who had he had two Gemsbuck shoulder mounts and a warthog skull. And I asked him who did those because they looked phenomenal. And it was Splitting Image, the same company that's doing my taxidermy work. So that's a testament of, resourcing the outfitter and people who deal in Africa and do business over there, because they know what's current. Quality can change, companies can go downhill, so on and so forth. So really tap in with them and resource your outfitter, as well as whomever that intermediary is for the outfitter. They could have someone that they pair with you to get everything squared away, or you could just be speaking directly with whomever they're the owner of the company.
That's dope. Okay. Yeah, that's a lot of good info right there.
Yeah, dude, just couple tidbits, man, and hit me with any more questions you have on any specifics, because we
Basically, I've heard anytime you go to Africa or any other continent, you got to get a lot of vaccines. How true is that?
so that is true, but contingent upon your geographical location.
Okay.
You know, I'm a firm believer in not taking any medications unless need be. If my arm's gonna fall off, sure, I may take something. Or if my nipple fell off and I can't glue it back on, I may take some. You feel me?
Right.
But I was just like you. I I consulted my physician, and there are travel doctors that you can go to for certain immunizations. Your family practitioner will not have them accessible to you. You would have to go to a travel doctor, but that is only contingent upon what part of Africa you're going to. There are areas where malaria is more prominent. You're going to want to do you'll want to have anti-malarials, or what was it? I think it was dengue fever and a couple other things, bunch of stuff that you didn't want to get, essentially. But the
Right.
area that the concession I was hunting did not have that. So I didn't have to take anything. My wife and we weren't inoculated for anything. Only thing I did was I got a new tetanus shot because I didn't have one in like damn near 17 years. So
Yeah.
I just got a new tetanus. My doctor's like, yeah, get a new tetanus shot, bro. You tripping. So I went and did that. Outside of that, no. So look at the area. Now that's why you have to identify what it is that you're going after, because that dictates your area. You
Right.
don't want to be proactive in what you inoculate yourself with. That makes no sense, because you can inoculate yourself with something, but then again, that outfitter doesn't have the animals in that area. So you have to go to a different area. And in that other area, there's nothing there that you need to be inoculated for, or go and get anti-malarials or any of that. So, but
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah, it's contingent upon the area.
I guess how about the water there too? Is that like can you drink the water over there? Do you gotta, do they outsource the water from other places, or because
So
I've heard
once
some,
again,
some places that you go, like some of these third world countries, you can't drink the water there. They outsource it from other places and stuff like that.
so contingent upon where you're going and level of infrastructure. So that's a yes and a no. Remember, I said I stayed at a lodge? So I was squared away. We had
Right.
full amenities. And as a matter of fact, the lodge we stayed in was brand new. First people to stay there.
Yeah.
And it was just us in this huge
Right.
lodge. So we were able to drink the water. There were water bottles. There were this, that, a lot of bourbon. We were squared away. Now, if you're going to like a spike camp, that's different. Your water is going to be bottled more than likely. And if not, they're going to
Right.
have some type of pumping and filtration system for your showering water, but you may still be relegated to bottled water. So that's something that you have to check with your outfitter. And you're only checking contingent upon, once again, where you are.
Where
That
you are.
determines it, which is also determined by your animals. Because
Right.
remember, I wanted that crocodile. I couldn't get that crocodile and the other plains game I wanted unless I did a couple days in this area and then shot out 7 hours to another area. So that's why you need to understand what it is that you want to harvest because that drives a lot.
Gotcha. Okay. So we got all that covered. So now I guess I'm wanting to set up my bow to travel to Africa and everything. How would you set your bow up
Easy.
for those? Whether you're hunting plains, I guess it's going to be different than if you're hunting in the Congo, correct? Because
Yeah.
Congo's more, I guess, a lot of vegetation
Yeah.
as to the plains is pretty wide open.
Yeah. So I hunted the border of Botswana. That's where I was. And it was shrubby. There was trees there with light foliage, but it was very, very shrubby and a little bit arid the time of year I went at was an intermediary period in the weather. So I'll start with before you hunt with your bow there, you have to have your bow get there in one piece. That's the most important thing. That is by far the most important thing. By the grace of God, I've traveled all over with competition bows and hunting bows, and I've never had an incident where my bow was damaged. I've had my case damaged, but not my bow, thankfully. So invest in a quality case. Quality case meaning one that's like in molded plastic, hard injected plastic. It's waterproof because these um these folks loading your bow up, they don't care. They're doing the job. Your bow may be outside for a elongated period of time in inclement weather, whether that's snow, a torrential downpour, or whatever. But you want to decrease the amount of damage that can be done to it.
Right.
So SKB makes a killer single bow case and a double. I like to go with the double. Why? Because I don't have to carry my arrows separately. Everything goes in one bow case. That case is almost the size of my little Colombian wife. It's huge, but it's worth it. Inside of that, I have a compartment for almost 2 dozen arrows, another compartment for my stabilizers and any other things. I set my bino harness in there with my binos, my range finder, extra tools, as well as there's space between the top and the bottom cam, and it has foam over the compartment area because that's where you'd either lay your rifle or your second bow. But I just run one bow in there. That's another thing. I don't bring a backup bow, because I know that my bow travels well. I have no reason to bring a backup bow unless there's a catastrophic failure. But I mean, if God put that in your cards, that's in your cards. You feel me?
Right.
So make sure you have a quality bow case. SKB. I can attest to that because I've traveled all over with it and I've never had an incident with my bow. And this case has been dinged. Little plastic pieces have been ripped off in travel, the whole 9 yards. And super squared away. And you can fill it up with some dope stickers too. I like to get stickers from wherever
Oh,
I
I
go.
love stickers. I'm a big sticker
Dude,
guy.
look,
Huge sticker guy.
bro, my wife got me a Clayton Bigsby sticker from Chappelle.
Right.
My bow, bro. I got it on my bow case and a Tyrone Bigums one. But yeah, brother. So uh, good bow case that you can fit your gear in, extra tools, your broadheads, and you want there to be barriers between those things and your bow. Your bow makes your trip. That makes or breaks your trip. So you need to have anything else that could come in contact with your string or cables needs to be secured, and there should be a barrier between that and your bow. So in the event uh, a broadhead does come loose, which you should never have broadheads out in your case, they should be in their own case. It still won't make contact with your string. So when I travel with my bow, this is my latest hunting bow, is the Matthews Lift. I always have a string and cable cover, even when it's in the case, you know, because God forbid that's another barrier to my string and cable. You know, you don't want to travel all these miles and then look in there, something foolish happened. And another beautiful thing is that lets you know if somebody checked your bow in TSA,
Right.
which is something I've dealt with before. You know, as my case being open, my bow being taken out of the case. So that lets me know, hey, I need to check this bow. Once I land, of course, you want to shoot your bow, make sure you're still zeroed, but that lets me know, give this bow the once over. Because I've heard horror stories about some spiteful people unloosening bolts and changing the zero on rifle optics and so on and so forth to other hunters. So that's for the case. Now for the orientation of the bow, regardless of if I'm hunting stateside, abroad, tree stand, ground blind, I run a 15-inch stabe up front and a 12 in the back.
That's what I run.
Like I'm not sacrificing that. This bow right now is set up differently, and that's because for certain competition, we can't run over a 12. So I have a 12 up front and a 10 in the rear. It's not my go-to setup. I ran that setup back in like 2020.
Well, it
But
sounds
I
like you're shooting. What are you shooting? Pins, I guess. Then
say that again, brother.
are you shooting the ASA?
No, this is a 3D. This is not a non-ASA affiliated 3D tournament for the Expo.
I got you. Yeah, because I know there's a hunter class in ASA. I think it's called pins or pins 30 or pins something
Yeah.
like that. You can't run over 12 on your
Yep.
back or your front bar.
So they mimic that for this competition, but it's non-affiliated. So that's the setup. 15 and a 12. Now let's transition to the setup of the bow itself. I personally like a non impeded scope. So I run a single pin with two dots. I know my 20. If I'm at my 20, then my second dot's at 44 yards. And it tells me because I run an AVX 4100 scope by Axel Archery and the Axel Archery AccuHunter with the carbon pro bar, 8-inch bar. You know, I love that setup, nice and light and well built. It's not overbuilt. I ran spot hogs for years, ran the Hogfather, which pretty much was
It's a
a
tank.
bludgeoning tool. I could take a person out with the Hogfather if need be. It's an anti-theft device. Nobody's running off with your bow with that thing on it because it's so darn heavy. Then after that I ran a Fast Eddie XL. Loved it, loved it, loved it. And I just wanted to try something new with this. I've also done the black gold sights, but either way, I always run a single vertical pin with either 1 to 2 dots. I haven't tried the 3-dot configuration. I don't want my eyes getting out of focus with there being too many things because you're already looking at 2 dots, 1 dot. But either way, you're looking at those dots and your level.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not trying to add anything. I don't want to do quantum physics while I'm trying to harvest an animal. You feel me? So I run that. Uh, my strings are Ghost Strings, which is Florida
Yes.
manufacturer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Ghost Strings is out of Florida.
Okay, because Gas makes Gas up here in Kentucky. I think they have like
Yeah.
one of their strings is called like the Ghost string.
Yeah. So I'm familiar with gas. I actually, on my new title, I'm trying threads out right
Yeah,
now.
I'm a big thread man. I love
Bro,
shout out to Chase at Threads, man. I love I got a bow right now that I'm getting strings put on from Threads. I love them because they're a Kentucky-based company for one,
okay.
but I have had so many problems with like other brands out there. I'm not going to
Yeah.
name who they are, but those thread strings, man, I cannot say enough about them. Great strings. They come pre-stretched. So when I
Yeah.
put that peep sight on, man, I
No
give it like
twist.
one good turn and no twist. It's dead on every time. So
I love that.
big shout out to Threads Bowstring.
Listen, I've had a great experience so far. I'll show y'all my title in a little bit, but I have less than 100 shots through it. Just getting some shots through it, trying to make sure everything is settled, and they've been great to me so far. No peep twist, nothing. But yeah. So my bow for Africa, single pin, 15-inch stabilizer up front, 12-inch in the rear. One thing that I love about the new Matthews lineup of bows is their system for letting your bow rest. I forgot these legs. Uh,
Yeah, the engaged limbs.
Yeah, the engaged limb legs. There we go. So this is the latest version of them for the lifts. I don't know why they changed it between the V3X and the lifts, but I shoot with this on. My bow's balanced with this on. Some people don't like to shoot with it on. I do, because what that allows me to do is if I'm in a ground blind, which that's cute, but spot and stock is where it's at. If I'm in a ground blind, my bow can be at rest. But then as soon as something happens, an animal comes into my line of sight and provides a shot, I'm already up. But I don't have to orient my bow in any weird way or lean it up against anything. It's right in front of me, vertical already. So my hand can already be on the grip and I'm resting, as opposed to having it across my lap. And that's a little bit more movement to turn the bow up, draw the bow. My hands are already on the riser. I just have to bring my bow up, which is one motion, and draw back, get in my anchor, and let it rip. So I really like that. I keep those on at all times. Now, I ran a 5 arrow quiver, which that didn't change whether I'm hunting here or over there. The Matthews inline system, the 5 arrow quiver, the one piece, and I filled it with all 5 arrows. Didn't need any follow up shots. Most of my shots were heart shots, and we'll go into the arrow shortly that I was shooting over there, because there's a lot of talk about arrows and
Yes,
African
sir.
game and shot placement and you got to play a trumpet on a full moon and sacrifice two people. A lot of wild stuff regarding that. What else did I encounter? Oh, I do have to speak to this. Guys, it's very much so important that you put in your reps outside before you go across the pond to Africa. While I was there, I had about 5 different weather weather patterns in my 12 days of hunting. I had all the way from darn near 40 degrees to 85 in those
Mm,
12 days.
wow,
And winds over, I think the winds were over 15 knots one day. The winds were insane. It was
that's crazy.
wild. So, and it just so happened with all this going on, most of my shots were over 50 yards. I shot the Impala at over 70, I think 75. My Zebra was 85. My white blessed buck was 66. My Gems buck was 22, and my blue wildebeest was my Zebra was 82, and the blue wildebeest was 85, something like that. So make sure that you're putting in them reps at longer distances outside, because you could get a feel for shooting under the inclement weather, whether it's raining, not heavily, but sprinkling. That'll affect your arrow trajectory. Wind, that's a given, guys. Not only does it affect your arrow flight, it affects your form as well, because to stabilize yourself, you're going to stand differently in wind, or you're either not going to shoot. So do you trust in what you've done in them reps that you put in ahead of time, and have you trained for that? Because you're just going to revert back to your highest level of training during these situations, or are you going to not take that shot and leave empty-handed or leave without that animal that you were provided a shot on, but you couldn't take because you weren't comfortable. So make sure you're getting after it outside with reps at elongated distances. 20 is money. If look, 20 is win big bucks, shoot big bucks. That's 20 all day. You need to be shooting at 60 on, 60 to 100, and be confident at 60 to 100. Now, does that mean that you should do that when you're over there? No, but it means that you are confident if the chips are
It,
down, you have to make that shot. It's about taking
right.
ethical shots no matter what, no matter what. But you have to be confident in your capabilities in order to make that ethical shot at a farther distance. So for your training routine, make sure you're that's implemented into it. That's my bow in a nutshell. Now, do you have any more questions about the bow, brother?
No, you can go ahead and get into the arrows if you want to.
Yep. So for Africa, let me see. I think I have one next to me. This is my practice room. Oh yeah, I do. Here we go. Oh, that's not it. So all right. So for
It's an,
Africa,
it's an Easton.
oh yeah. Oh yeah, brother. And as a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure this is one I used over there. So Easton FMJ, this is the 5 mil, a 300 spine. Altogether, this is, I'm gonna weigh it right now for you guys. I'm pretty sure it came out to 570 now. And the reason why I want to weigh this for you guys is because I want to speak to the grain. Mm, 33 grams. All right, so yeah, I was at 509 grains as my
Oh,
total arrow weight. So that's broadhead, shaft, fletchings or veins, and the knock. I was shooting 75 pounds with a 30 and a half draw length.
you got the same draw length as me then. Yep. Okay.
But actually, no, I'm really 31 and a half.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
you took it down.
Yeah. Back then I was shooting a 30 and a half. I've been shooting at 31 and a half for a little while now. Yep. And my new title is ordered at 30 at the max, 31 and a half. I think the only bow that Matthews is making right now with a 32-inch draw length is that the new lift, one of the new lift
Yep.
variations.
The Lift X something.
Something, dude. The RS, I believe.
LS.
Yeah, something like that, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I wanted a robust arrow. I did not want an arrow that was super light. I wanted an arrow that was strong. Um, I was pulling back full poundage on the bow, and as you see, everything was almost maxed out because it was 30 and a half, 75 pounds, and a V3X. The V3X 33, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what my feet per second was on this arrow. It was not cooking, I'll tell you that much. It was moving, but it wasn't cooking.
Yeah.
But I got pass-throughs on every single animal. Every single animal I shot. And to put it into perspective, 3 of the animals I shot made are made bronze status for SCI record book.
That's awesome.
So they were big. They were, and I say that to show that they were good size animals. You know, they were substantial. So I love the flight of this arrow. These are a robust arrow, good spine. You know, this mixture of materials, they have the outer spine, which is it's aluminum, and inside is carbon, if I'm correct.
Carbon. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
carbon.
and they do work. They do work. I've switched since then. I've switched to the Black Eagle X Impacts
Yep.
250s.
That's a
Um,
stupid good arrow.
oh, bro, I've smashed so many animals with them arrows. Like when it's crazy. It's like I get out the truck and the animals are like, "Yo, the truck Cowboy's here. He got them X Impacts." Yo, oh well. Like, bro, it's
Run.
crazy. Run, yeah, for run. Yo, let's go. So I love those arrows. Those are cooking, right? On those arrows, I'm shooting 311
Yeah,
feet per second with those out of
yes.
my 33-inch lift.
That's
So
cooking,
they're
man. What broadheads were you using over there?
my brother, the $1 million question. So I had, I'll run down what I had with me. I had the Beast Broadhead by Josh
Bowman?
Bomar. And I have to drop in there. I ordered more than enough with enough lead time, and they got pushed back and pushed back because they wanted the sharpest blades. They wanted them to be able to do uh, ice skate. They wanted them to be able to bake a cake for you, and all this foolishness. So they ended up being like 2 months late. So I only had two, because they sell them in 2 packs, and I ordered a
Mhm.
couple more 2 packs. So I went with only two of those, and then my buddy. So I shoot archery for a shop called Skull Hill Archery out of Okeechobee, Florida. And my buddy Brandon, good dudes, Brandon and Garrett, those are my brothers. He's like, man, take these. I'm like, what is this you speaketh of? Because also I have my Rage no collars, tried and true, my Rage chisel tips with me, my Schwacker, Levi Morgans, and some Severs. But my main broadheads were my Rages and my both the Rages no collar and the chisel tip tri blade Rages and the Schwackers. He's like, take these. It was the G5 Mega Meat,
You see what's over my shoulder, don't you?
bro,
You see what the poster is back there.
bro,
Man, G5.
bro. He said, listen, I'm gonna tell you how confident he was in their capability. He said, he passed me a couple of these. He said, take these. You owe me pictures from Africa of your harvest. If not, you give them back. That's how confident he was. I'm like, all right, bro, we'll see what this is about. We'll see what this is about. And I tell you what, my brother was right. Dude, it's like I don't know what they did if they have like a supercharger or LS supercharger in them that when you screw them on your arrow gets like another 300 feet per second. Because I
Yeah.
swore my arrows were just disappearing and breaking the sound barrier, and then animals were just on the ground and whatnot. And we were panic stricken because it was like a lightning bolt came out of the sky, but it was my arrow, bro. It's crazy. The G5 Mega Meats are the truth, brother. They fly like field tips. And I have no affiliation with that company. And I have various sponsors within the industry, but I have zero affiliation with G5. And I can tell you, the wound channel on those broadheads and the accuracy at which they fly is phenomenal, and their dependability. So it's not, you don't want to compromise any of those things. I think those are the pillars of a good broadhead, especially mechanical broadhead. It has moving parts, unlike the fixed blade broadheads. You know, that accuracy, the deployment type, and the wound channel, killer. I'm talking about straight
Mhm.
triangles, the heart's shredded out of frontal heart shot on my white blessed buck. Homeboy was leaking. Homeboy was leaking. He has an all white coat. It was not white anymore, man. It looked like the Jordan 13s, the black on red ones, bro. You remember the Jordan 13s?
Yeah.
Yeah, the black
Oh
on red.
yeah.
Dude, it looked like that, where the top half of his coat was still white, the whole bottom half was red. My the zebra, bro, it did a number. Even flying over 70 yards did a number on it. The impala did a number on it. The zebra was a double lung. The white blessed buck was a frontal heart shot. The Gems buck was a heart shot, a quartering heart shot. The blue wildebeest was a double lung shot, and let me tell you, it blew chunks of the lung out the back of the wildebeest, bro. There were chunks of the lung when we found the arrow that were on the ground where I hit that wildebeest. Yeah, so
That's
these
crazy.
arrows, dude, these broadheads were the truth.
Yeah,
These
man. I
broadheads were the
shot the Bontex a couple years ago. I didn't harvest a buck with them, but my buddy was like, "Man, you need to try the G5s," because I'd been
truth.
shooting like Muzzies and the QAD Exodus.
Okay, what were you shooting? The Muzzy Trocars, the three blade
Yeah,
Trocars,
yeah,
the
three
OGs.
blade. Yeah, the OGs, and I wasn't a big mechanical guy. I was always a fixed guy, so I'd always use those. And my buddy's like, "Hey, bro, you need to try these mega meats," and I was like, "I'm just gonna stick with my Montex." He showed me this picture that he shot this hog with in Florida, man, and like the hole that this thing left, and I was like, Jesus Christ. And he's like, "Yeah, man." He said, G5 is where it's at. And I've been shooting G5s ever since. You know, didn't get to go hunting last year, because of my whole, work injury and all that stuff. But
Right.
um all my buddies, man, that were shooting G5s were just like, dude, these things are the truth. I said, yeah, they are. I said, there's too many people out there, with I haven't heard one horror story from any of these broadheads yet, man. And
No,
it's a testament to their company and a testament to their quality control. That's for sure.
brother, they do a great job. I tell you, man. And I like for me, this is I eat and breathe this. So every time I harvest an animal and it gets I cape it out, or if it's with an outfit or a name, they cape it out and it's a heart shot. I want to see what the heart looks like. I want to see what the wound channel looks like inside the animal. And brother, it put it to him.
Yeah.
It put it to him. Yeah, the mega meats. I did, as a matter of fact, I harvested my Gems buck with a slick trick. And brother, in comparison to the wound channel that was the first animal I ever harvested with a slick trick. It's fixed blade. uh, I think it's an inch and a quarter cut
Hmm.
radius.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I harvested it with a perfect heart shot right through the center of the heart. It was a quartering shot, and it ran 20 yards behind me. That was the only animal I shot out of a ground blind. All the rest was spot and stalk. And there was very little blood. There was very little blood. I thought that this animal had run off on us. And he only went 20 yards. We didn't see him at the time that he was laying in the bushes. When the tracker found him and we sat him up to take pictures, that's when all the blood started to leak out of him. The wound channel is just too small on that inch
Hmm.
and a quarter flip slick trick. But those mega meats, there was no animal that was at a lack of a blood trail. It was everywhere. It was everywhere, and they're extremely accurate, which is extremely important.
For sure, man. Heck yeah, man. We'll talk about a little bit about your little um that mini series that you did down there in Florida. What's it called again? I watched it a couple of times, but I can't remember exactly what it's
Okay, the
called.
one that we did with Flow Grown.
Yeah, Flow Grown. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Tell
guys.
me how about that came about.
So originally, I'm one of their ambassadors. I'm sponsored by Flow Grown because I'm Florida born and raised. Like this is my lifestyle. I love the outdoors and especially fishing and archery. I've bass fished competitively, shot archer competitively. I hunt. You know, and so I linked up with Flowgrown some years ago, and from that, we've just grown as the company's grown. We've grown together continuously, and they've always shown support. And I love the fact that they support this wonderful state of Florida, my home state. So they had a show which is showing off what it is to be a Floridian, a Florida man,
Mm.
and then they go through a day in the life of a so-called Florida man, which could be a lady or a man. And for that, I had the honor of being episode number one.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, dude, took him to through a day in my life. We started the day off at my buddy's firearm training facility. It's a range, a training facility, and a country club. So I took him there, and a buddy of mine who we used to work together in the past life. We went through some shooting drills and whatnot. Then we had a little shooting competition at the end, which before we used to end all of our training cycles, the cadre would have us do little shooting matches at the end of each training evolution. And so one would be at 30 yards, and you have to shoot the um, the cap of a 12 gauge shotgun, that brass cap on the end,
Yeah.
at 30 yards with your pistol, with your sidearm, or take a piece of tape and hang it at 25 yards, and whoever's the first, you go shot for shot, the first person to break the tape. Just little things like that to break up the monotony. So we did that at the end and whatnot. And then what you guys didn't see is I took him to one of my favorite restaurants, which is a awesome Cajun restaurant down here. I got to take you, brother, when you in town.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Shuck and Dive off of Federal in Fort Lauderdale. And then after that, I took him out to the ranch where we guide pig hunts
Hmm.
and spot and stalked a pig and laid the smackdown on it with the bow. And so
Yeah, it was awesome.
thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Just wanted to showcase what we do. Because at the end
Yeah,
of the day, it's about showing everyone this is accessible to you too. This is accessible to everybody. And it's fun. It's different. It's not going to the club. It's not, going to the bar. It's different, but it's fun. It's fun.
for sure. Yeah, man. Well, yeah, man. I can't thank you enough for hopping back on here with me, man. Still need to send you some bourbon for
Oh,
sure.
oh
But
yeah. You,
man,
you,
yeah,
you you know I'm
you
here. I'm ready. Whenever you want to send it, it'll definitely get drank.
yeah, but your channel, yeah, your page is one I frequent very constant, and I just love what you're doing down there in Florida, man. I wish me and you were a little bit closer together so we could do some more, some hunting and stuff together, man. But I'll get down there to Florida, man, and you always got the invite to Kentucky anytime you want to come. So
Thank you,
Turkey
brother.
City right around the corner up here. We got some nice gobblers down there, and I know y'all got the Osceolas down
Oh
there.
yeah.
So
Oh yeah, brother. I appreciate the invite, and same to you. Come down here, smack up some pigs, go frog gigging. Depending upon what year it is, you may be able to assist me with a gator hunt. Never know.
I'd
So
love to go gator hunting. God, I'd want to, man. Speaking my
listen.
language now.
Well, I'm going to say it on the podcast. I'm speaking into existence for tags this year, and then you're going to come down and assist me with a gator hunt. So I'm speaking
I'm
into
down. Let's
existence.
get it,
It's going
man.
to happen.
Heck yeah, man. But yeah, man, if y'all have not checked out this brother's Instagram and YouTube page, you definitely need to check it out. I think it's Authentic Savage on YouTube. I think it's
Yeah.
Tone Brown on Instagram.
So Tone Brown is my Facebook. Authentic Savage is my is my YouTube page. Authentic with a K, Savage. My Instagram is The Incredible Tone, all one word. Incredible, Tone, all one word. Or you guys can go on my website, which is authentic with a K, savage.com. And from there you can reserve your spot for a wild boar hunt. We have our How to Get Started free archery series, A to Z of archery. We have our Savage Archery Masterclass, which will get you shooting on there as well. There's something for everyone. We have a blog on there written by um, professionals in your discipline, meaning we have retired SEALs talking about dealing with PTSD. We have dentists talking about oral hygiene, accountants talking about financial literacy, because at the end of the day, our mantra is for you to be authentic and master your craft. We want to make you the best version of you. However we do that and motivate, inspire, and learn from each other. We're here to teach each other, guys. So please feel free to check out any of it. And if you guys just want to shot me a holler, please do. We'd love to talk to you all, archery or whatever. Or you just want to say hello, be more than obliged to chop it up. And you can grab these on there too. This is what we're doing. You got to make bow hunting great again. And brother, I got your hat. Don't think I didn't put one to the side for you.
My God.
Don't you think I didn't put one in the side for you? And for nothing else, guys, the coolest part about this hat, outside of it saying make bow hunting great again, that's cool. It's funny. Yeah. And my logo is this arrow on the back. I just love the way the detail came out on that
Yes.
arrow on the back. And on the side, we got the authentic Savage logo, half wolf, half Viking. Because that's all it's about, being the best version of yourself. And I appreciate you for having me on again, brother.
Absolutely, man. If there's anything I can ever do for you, man, you got my number. Stay in touch, man. And I'll always be here, man. Just holler.
You already know, brother. Same to you. It's family.
Yes, sir. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Antonio Brown, aka Chocolate Cowboy Brown, aka Tone Brown, aka Authentic Savage. Yeah, check him out, man. But here we go. Big game, small game, all game. We do this too.